Guys, and welcome to Learn Extra Live, Maths Lit Grade 12s. It's so nice to be with you. You guys are the ones in the hot seat. It's prelims, it's finals, it's all of that stuff, and this is a very serious face going on here.
Absolutely. This is what it's all about, guys. Okay, you got just the prelims, and after the prelims, those finals. But there's still some time to get as much work as we can.
Yeah. And now I'm going to be very kind and tell, but this is the truth, guys. Peter is really amazing. And if you're watching this show, he really is going to help you in matric, and he's going to prepare you for those prelims and finals. And that's the truth. That's not even a joke.
No, it's not at all. And I've had to pay a lot of money for her to say that on air. So
Ching, ching.
I'll give it to you just now.
Okay,
all right.
cool.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
You had a great week?
I had a fantastic week. Busy, but fantastic.
So did I. Went all the way down to the Cape. By train, I kid you not, and in fact I got a question on the train later on that we're going to be looking at, but we had an absolutely wonderful time. In fact, we didn't go all the way through to Cape Town. We went to Paarl and Franschhoek area.
Oh, lovely.
Stunning, stunning, stunning. In fact, there's still so much snow on the mountains. It's phenomenal.
Really?
It really is. And we actually went up and we built 2 snowmen.
Oh, cute.
It was really good.
Oh, I've
Which
always
reminds
wanted
me
to.
of a joke. I think
Yeah.
I've said this on air, but I don't think you've heard it.
Yeah.
Okay. The one snowman looked at the other one and said, "It's true. I do smell carrots." I'll go get ready to
love
talk
that.
to them.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so guys, you know the drill. Peter, it's learn more, laugh more with Peter, just for these sessions. I like that. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to chat to us on the Facebook page, and it's facebook.com/learn extra, and that's with an XTRA. You can also chat to us on Twitter @LearnExtra, and Twitter's quite nice because it's very fast, it's nice and conversational. But what we do on our Facebook page, guys, we've got 16,000, almost 16,300 mindsters on our page, and the page is for you. It's a community of learning. If there's anything that you don't understand, post it onto the page. Either we'll answer it for you, or there'll be other learners that will help you out too and inspire each other. And if there's anything that you need help with, that is the place that you need to go. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Peter, and we're going to have an awesome session, and I'll be chatting to you during the show. Peter, take it away.
Right, folks, so what are we doing today? Today we are looking at just arbitrary little questions which have come up in past papers, or they've come up from different tests that teachers have sent me from around South Africa. Questions that I think are quite interesting and that could be a good learning tool for you. Okay, so let's not chat, let's read the question. Let's have a look. Mr. Murray, the gardener at his school, created a circular flower bed in a rectangular lawn, as shown in the diagram below. It says alongside, but it's actually below. The radius of the flower bed is 1,5 meters. The length of the rectangular lawn is 6 meters, and the breadth is 4 meters. Okay? Now, having a look at that, there we can see we've got a rectangular lawn, 6 meters by 4 meters, and in the middle of it, we've now decided to plant a little circular flower bed, okay? And it has a radius of 1,5 meters. And guys, the first thing I want you to take note of is this. This question is probably from a paper 1, because they're going to be very basic little things that they're going to be asking us. But in a paper 2, normally what they would give us is they would give us the diameter. And the reason why examiners do that, because in a paper 2 they want you to think a little bit more. And so in our formulas for area, it normally says area equals pi times r squared. And if they give you the diameter, you'll be amazed at how many people in matric. And I think it's just nerves. I don't think people really are clueless. They just get so nervous. So many people will take the diameter and put it into the formula where it says, "Oi, what's the radius?" And they put the diameter in. So here's a little clue, or little hint rather. When you get your exam paper, if you ever see diameter, straight away find out what the radius is. So if this question said, "Oi, my diameter is 3 meters," then I would expect you to say, therefore, the radius is 1,5 meters, because then you are not going to make a mistake when you apply that 1,5 meters, or when you apply the radius into a formula. Okay, Now, here's our first question. Calculate the area of the flower bed. You're going to use the formula pi times r squared. There it is. Where pi is 3,14 and r is my radius. So, we're going to say area is equal to pi times r squared. Now, folk, on your calculator you have pi. But nowadays what's actually happening in our maths lit examinations is that the examiners are saying, oi, don't you use that pi on your calculator, rather use 3.14. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to say 3,14 times the radius. Okay, now what was the radius? It was 1,5 meters. So times 1,5 meters, and folk, we are going to square it. So 2 silly mistakes that come up every year in the exam. Number 1, people tend to use the diameter instead of the radius. Horrific. Problem number 2, or silly mistake number 2. So many people forget to square that radius. They say pi equals area equals 3,14 times 1,5 equals, and they forget to square it. Now that's just a silly, careless error. Okay, don't you make that same mistake. The other mistake people tend to make is this. They tend to feel that, you know what? Why do we just say 1,5 squared? Why must we use r squared? Let's just use a diameter, because a radius is 2 diameters anyway. Guys, it's r squared is not the same thing as 1 diameter. Let me show you. Let's pretend my radius is 10. Now, if my radius is 10, what's my diameter? My diameter is going to be 20. Do you agree on that? So if I were to say r squared, what is 10 squared? 10 squared is 100. Can you see how r squared is not the same thing as a diameter? Please don't make that mistake in your matric exam. So many students do, and it's just a horrible concept. It's a horrible idea that's just got to be taken from your mind and thrown away. Okay? Indiana, you mustn't do that, otherwise there's nothing left in your mind.
I'll never.
So take that out of your mind, throw it away, and never, ever, ever again think that r squared is the same as diameter. In fact, I'm just going to obliterate it from the screen because I don't even want you to see this, just in case for some reason I plant a horrible seed in your head. Okay, so our calculator is going to do the work for us, and we are going to say 3.14 multiplied by 1.5 squared equals 7,065. So we're going to write that down, 7,065. 7,065 what? Well, my radius given to me was in meters. So my answer is also in meters. But not just meters, but meters squared, because we're dealing with area. Okay? And I've said this so often, I'm actually embarrassed to say it again. Guys, remember, if I'm finding perimeter, I just use the unit. If I'm finding area, it's units squared. If I'm finding the volume, it's units cubed. Here we asked, find the area, so we're just saying area is meters squared. And that's what we've got over here. Okay, moving on, next question. My next question says this. Calculate the following. The perimeter of the rectangular lawn. And it says use the formula, and they actually give you a formula for that, and I'm horrified that they would even give you the formula, because guys, you should know how to work out a formula for a rectangle. What is the perimeter of a rectangle? Okay, straightforward. Perimeter means that if I were to take a little ant, and I were to put an ant on that little line over here and say, ant, walk. The ant would walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk and walk, and when it gets there, it would walk and walk and walk and walk. I got drunk. The ants had too much to drink. And walk 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 and walk. And when it gets back to its starting point, guys, that's a perimeter. And I can't believe that the examiner's actually given you the formula for that, because it's so simple. All you're going to do is you're going to add up those different sides. So you're going to say 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4. And 6 and 4 is 10, and 6 is 16, and 4 is 20. So my perimeter is 20. I didn't even have to use the formula for that. 20 what? Meters. Why not meters squared? Because it's not the area. Why not volume squared? Because it's not the volume. It's just perimeter. So just meters. All right, great. Let's move on. My next question says this. Calculate the length of the lawn in feet if 1 meter is 3,25 feet. Okay, so here we have a lawn, and the length of my lawn is 6 meters. But we've got someone from overseas, and they're saying, what's 6 meters? So now we've got to convert it to feet so that they understand what we're talking about. And we are told that 1 meter is equal to 3,25 feet. Okay? So what is 6 meters then? Well, how did I make this 1 become a 6? I multiplied by 6. I said 1 times 6 is 6. And so what I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other. I'm also going to say times 6. So I've got 3,25 times 6 equals. And my calculator is going to do that work for me. It's going to say 3 multiplied, let's do that again. 3.25 multiplied by 6 gives me 19,5. So I've got 19,5 feet. That's how long 6 meters is. So instead of 6 meters, I could say, you know what? It's 19,5 feet. Cool. It's nothing hard about any of this that we've done so far, hey? It's all straightforward, all basic, all simple stuff, right? And that's why I'm saying this is probably all from a paper 1. Next question.
Well,
Okay.
while you're looking for the next
Yeah.
question, this is Khotso, and he said, thanks to Peter, thumbs up. That's from earlier, so I've just got to give you those thumbs up, obviously. And then Khotso said, I've just taken note on the mistakes that Peter is bringing up. I lost 11 marks on my last test paper due to nerves and mixing up the radius and diameter and not checking my answers at the end. But thank you, Mindsetter, for posting that on the page, because I think that's a very important thing to go over and to say. Hey?
Absolutely. You know, one thing I'll say is that most students who write a paper 1, most students who write a paper 1 could actually get 100% for that paper because they know how to do the work. There are very few questions in a paper 1 that you look at and say, my giddy aunt, I don't know what's going on. Most of you know what's going on because it's just the basic concepts. Remember, paper 2 is the application. That's when it gets kind of tough. But for paper 1, it's just basic little concepts. So most of you should get at least 90% for that paper. But it's minus those careless mistakes that actually cost you. And it's those careless mistakes that take a mark from 90% and drop it down to the 70s. It's those careless mistakes that take a mark from the 80s and drop them down into the 50s or 60s. Okay, you cannot, ye mag nie. I don't know the Zulu one for that, okay? And guys, you can't make that careless mistakes. Guys, it just cost you marks, just like you said.
That was from, now you're confusing me now. Khotso, it was from Khotso.
So
But now,
thanks for letting us know, hey, because a lot of people believe that I just make this up, but it's actually so true.
it's actually true. But I've got it to now, and since we're on like the role of
Yeah.
tips and advice, this one is from Success, and I would love an answer from you because I'm wondering too. And he asked, guys, is it necessary to rewrite the formulas? I know what
Okay.
I would say.
I know that they can't penalize you for not writing the formula. So let's say, for example, if we go back to this previous question that I did over here, okay? No, the very other previous one. Here we go. Where we had to calculate the other previous one.
Well,
where
while-
we had to calculate
Peter, while you
area.
look,
Okay?
what I was going to say is, like, knowing me, if I didn't know the formula, I'd find it better to write it down so at least it's there, and then I don't have to panic. What's the formula? What's the formula? I've gone and I've written it down. But that's
All right.
me.
But for Mathslit, we get given the formulas like this. Okay. But you know what, guys? I like to write it down again. And it's just a personal feeling, and I encourage my students to do that. So what I say to them is write it down. Say, right, area equals pi times r squared, then check. Have I written it down correctly? Area equals pi times r squared. Yes, it is. Now I don't need to worry about this question paper. Now I'm focused on my answer paper that's in front of me. And now it's straightforward. Equals. And underneath each little part of the formula, I'm now putting different figures. I don't know. To me, it just gives structure. Hey? It's showing me what I've actually written. And it just, I think it alleviates making those careless mistakes. It just gives an extra little security blanket. You might disagree with me, okay? I've got students who say, I'm not doing this, I'm just going for it, okay? But most of my students do as I say, and most of them will say, you know what, let's write that formula down just so that we've got it. And you know, it's just reminding me what I'm looking for. Because at the end of the question, I've seen area equals, I look at my units and say, are they squared? If I don't have that formula, and I've worked it out, and I get an answer of 7,065, I'm thinking, well, cool, 7,065. I'm not going to know if it's meter or meter squared. I don't know, I just think it adds as a security blanket. You might have different opinion on it, but it's just my gut feel. I know when I do model answers, for the tests that I set, even though I'm the teacher, I still write the formula down. Just helps me out. Any other ones?
Let me have a look. I think what we're also going to do, so we are going to take a mini little break now. Let's have a look. Okay, guys, there's no more questions like that, so but maybe that's what you should do. I want to know those kinds of questions. Do you need more tips on exams? Do you have tips on exams? If you have tips, please let us know how you do it and what you think works. What we're going to do is we're going to take a little break, and we'll see you now. Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your break as much as we did. We had a little bit of a stretch. Okay, so now we've got a question from Lorato, which I have kindly asked Peter to go over, and he has said yes. So we will be going over that question now, Lorato. But I know Lucia and a whole bunch of mindsetters are asking for tax questions. But what we're going to do is we're going to have to go over them in next week's show. But what I want you to send me through all of those tax questions so we can have them up for next week and we can do them as challenge questions and really start to go through it. So if you can post those on our page, that would be fantastic, and we'll be going through that next week. I think, Peter, let's start with Lorato's question, hey?
Absolutely. If I can just talk about that tax. Guys, I'd love to answer those questions on tax. I really would. But they actually can get quite complicated, and we've got to get tables and things like that, and I can't just make up those figures as we're going along. So we're going to prepare a nice question or nice 2 or 3 questions on tax and then present them first thing up next week on our program. All right, I hope our producer has heard me and will remind us about that.
Yes,
but if you post your questions, because there are different types of tax questions, and like Indiana said, if you post your questions on tax to us, then we'll prepare a nice little program on tax for you, okay? Or start the program, next week's program, looking at all your tax questions, okay? And remember, add your name to those questions as well. And we might just mention your name on live TV, just like we're doing with Lorato at the moment. All right, so Lorato, your question was this. How do you increase 1,250 Rand by 24%? Okay, well, there are a number of ways of actually doing this. But basically what we've got to do is we have got to take 1,250 Rand, okay, and we need to find 24% of that. Right. So, how do you find 24% of something? Remember, Lorato, 24%, the word percent means of 100 or out of 100. So, we know we've got 24 out of 100. Okay? And to that now we are going to add 1,250 Rand. So we've got the 1,250 Rand. We're going to add another 24% of that 1,225 Rand. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Let's do this on our calculator. So with our calculator then, we're going to say, okay, so we've got 1,250 Rand times 14%, times 14%, 14 over 100, equals, and we land up with 175 Rand. So I've got 175 Rand. Now, to that 175 Rand, I'm going to add 1,250. So plus the 1,250, and there we get it, 1,425 Rand. So 1,425 Rand. All right, so I hope that makes sense to you. But in a nutshell, let's go through it again. Firstly, if you've got to add 24% to something, you find out what is 24% of that. You get an answer, and then you add it to the original amount. Okay? So we found 24% of 1,250 Rand. We got 175. We then added 1,250 Rand, because that's what we started with, and we land up with a final amount then of 1,425 Rand. Okay? Now, another question which they could also ask you is, decrease 1,250 Rand by 24%. Wait, what are we going to do then? Well, then it's quite simple, hey? Because then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, so we've got our 1,250 Rand. Now we're going to subtract 24% of that 1,250 Rand. So we've got our 1,250. We said this was 175 Rand. We then subtract it, and we now land up with our answer. And what is our answer going to be? Well, it's 1,250 Rand minus the 175 Rand. And our answer, 1,075 Rand. Okay. All right, so I hope that answered your question. Okay. Please let us know if you're happy with that answer or that explanation, and it'll be great to hear from you again. And other viewers out there, remember, if you got a question, even though it's not on the subject we're talking about, post it anyway. And during our ad breaks, what we do is while you go off and have a glass of water, we run quickly and look through, and then Indiana tells me, hey, answer this, answer this, answer this. And like a good man, I just listen to the woman and I do it. All right, so you post your questions and we'll try and do it after the break.
Your wife's taught you so well, Peter.
She has.
She's taught you so well.
I don't know about taught or slapped me so well. I'm not sure. Okay, time to move on. No, not at all. She never hits me. All right. Now, next question. Do you have another question before we move on with this, or are we okay?
Okay, wait. Maybe we perhaps. But what if it is off the ball, off the charts of not what we're talking about?
That's fine. That's
okay,
fine.
let's have a look. Oh, Lorata wrote back. See, this is what I love about social media and Facebook. Lorata wrote back. She said, "Thanks, Peter. I'm very impressed."
Cool.
Hey, aren't you happy with that? Okay. This one's from Lucia, and she says, "Why did you say that 14 divided by 100, but the percentage is 24?"
Sorry, that was my mouth talking wrong. It should have been 24%. Did I say 14?
Oh, maybe it was your mouth.
It was my mouth. Sorry, my mouth gets me into so much trouble. Okay.
Lucia, so you can say sorry to Lucia.
Lucia, I'm really sorry about that. So my mouth was thinking one thing, but I was writing another thing because we were talking 24%, but my mind was thinking 14. Sorry about that. Okay,
Sure.
but I did write 24. Cool.
Okay, cool. So now I've got this answer. I don't know if you're going to be able to answer. Okay, Sepo wants to know, how do we calculate the growth of a tree in its 10th year? I know it doesn't really relate to, but maybe you can answer that. You said any question, just putting it out there.
Well, we'd have to have more information on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, what would have actually happened then was it sounds like a compound question, and they would have said a tree grows so much every year. Okay. So how much is it going to grow after its 10th year? But so who was that from?
That's from Sepo.
Sepo, thanks for the question. But if you can give us more detail, all right, so I need the whole question, not just the question part. I need all the information that comes before the question, okay, all the preamble. If you give me that and then give me the question, I might be able to answer that for you. All right, sorry, we need much more information than just that last little bit.
Okay, I've got one question, and this one is from Lindy. And Lindy asks, if there's any time left, can Peter just quickly revise quartiles and percentiles? Perhaps after the end of the show? Perhaps it's something for next week? You tell me.
Okay, we'll have a look at it after the break. I think we've got another break in 10 minutes, and then when we come back, we'll look at percentiles. Or
Okay.
if we can, maybe next week. I'll have to do it because we need special charts for that. But I'll have a look and we'll
We're
get
so
back to you.
demanding of you. Hey, Peter, we're
Oh,
so
no,
demanding.
but
We must
that's
make
what's
him
so
work,
great.
guys.
That's what I love
Let's
about the show.
make him
I,
work.
I prefer talking to you and answering your questions than just going through stuff, because then I feel I'm really engaging with you folk, which is absolutely great. Okay. Right. Shall we move on?
Let us.
Let's move on. Our next question. Annabelle started working for a construction company on the 3rd of July 2007. She earned a net income of $144,000 per annum without any bonus. Okay, now, I just want to bring one thing to your attention here, net income. Right. In an examiner should actually explain to you the difference between a gross income and a net income. Okay, they haven't done it in this question, so I'll explain that to you quickly. A gross income is the income that your employee will give you before they've deducted anything. So before they've taken off your pension, before they've taken off your tax, okay, they will just say, here is your salary. And that is a gross salary. So, for example, when I started teaching many years ago, my goodness, do you know I started teaching in 1990? How scary is that? Okay.
Sure.
And as a teacher in 1990, I got a gross salary of about 1,400 Rand. Okay. Now that was my gross salary. But they still had to take tax off that. And once they took the tax off that, I got out, I think it was around about 1,200 Rand a month. Now that is what we call a net income. So your gross salary is the salary that your employees say, yeah, this is what I'm giving you. Your net salary is the salary that you get after you've paid out to that tax man. Got it? Now, Annabelle started working for a construction company on the 3rd of July. She earned a net salary or income of 144,000 per annum. Please take note of that. Per annum means per year. So she wasn't earning 144,000 Rand a month. Gee, wouldn't that just be nice, eh? No, she was only earning how much a month? Think about it, because I know it's one of the questions. All right. So, shame, and she doesn't get a bonus. Now, she sets aside 8,400 Rand a month for her monthly expenses. And each month, set aside a further 90% of the balance, not of her money, but of the balance, towards a deposit for a new car. There's a lot of words in this question, and it can be quite confusing. So let's just try and put all this in perspective. So every month, Annabelle gets a salary. Okay? They pay the tax man and she gets some money. She says, wow, this is my money. Now she starts paying out money. And she starts paying. In fact, they actually tell us what her expenses are. She pays rent and electricity, 2,850. She pays her groceries, 1,500. Her student loan repayment of 900. Her public transport to work, 700. Her clothing, 350. And blah, blah, blah. And all her expenses come to a total of 8,400. So she gets this money, pays out 8,400, and is left with a little bit of money. Now, of that money she's got left, 90% of it she takes and puts it away towards a car. Oh, she so badly wants a car. Okay? And so of the money she's got left, a whole 90% is being put aside for that dream car of hers. Now, first question. Calculate Annabelle's net monthly salary. I knew this question was going to come up. Now remember, she got 144,000 Rand a year. We're going to divide it by 12, and she's going to land up with 12,000 Rand a month. Right? So that is her net income every single month. Got that? So she's not earning 144,000. She's not a minister of education or public transport or whatever. She's just a normal other person. My mom used to have a lovely saying when I was growing up. Whenever we asked her for something, okay, we said, oh, Ma, please, we want that Lego. Oh, gee, Mom, we'd love that little motor car to play with in the sand. Or, Mom, gee, we'd love a packet of chips. She'd always say, hey, boy, I'm just another fella. I'm not Rockefeller. Okay, which I think is quite cute.
It explains why. It explains a lot about you. I'd
What?
like to meet your mother. I think she must be an amazing lady.
Ja, sy's 'n boerevrou hoor. You
Is she?
talk out of line, sy klap vir jou.
She sounds lekker.
Yeah, I got the bruises everywhere. All right, but let's move on. So, 12,000 Rand is what she actually earns. Okay. In fact, you know, she spoke to us 2 weeks ago on our program. Okay. And we were talking about the number of older folk that watch our program. I met another couple in Cape Town. They recognized me and actually came up to me and said, Hazard, you know that we watch your show. They're absolutely amazing. And these are folk that are in their late 60s. Their names were Ken and Maureen. Okay, all the way from...
Ken and Maureen.
Ken and Maureen.
Well, my granny and grandpa, Ken and Marjorie. Ken and Marjorie.
No, it was definitely Maureen, so I didn't meet your grandparents. Okay. Right, let's move on. Now, Annabelle was advised to invest some of her monthly savings in a special savings account that pays more interest. She thus invested 3,000 Rand of her monthly savings each month in this account. This special savings account paid an interest rate of 10.8% per annum, compounded monthly. Use the formula F is equal to X bracket 1 plus I close bracket N minus 1 all over I to calculate the total amount she will have for her deposit if she saves monthly for 11 months, where F is the total amount received, X is the monthly amount invested, I is my monthly interest rate, N is the number of months for which the money was invested. Okay. Now, do you remember, who was it that asked us the question, should we write down the formulas? Can you remember?
Do I remember who it was? I can have a look quickly.
Okay. But to the young guy who asked me the question, you've now got a horrific formula behind me. You know what?
Success, Samuel.
Absolutely.
Success, Samuel.
I would strongly advise, in this case, that you definitely write this formula. Look at this thing. Sure. If you've got it above you, it's easier to put figures below it, rather than working from your question paper to your answer paper. Question paper to your answer paper. Okay? Rather, put it all together in a confined little space. So let's have a look at this. Now, where are we? There it is. Okay, so F equals X, big bracket, 1 minus I, all to the n, minus 1, all over I. Now, F is the total amount received. In other words, the total amount that she's going to have saved. X is the amount we're putting away every single month. Okay. Now, guys, this formula, I just want to make something or put it out there. It's so important. You know this formula. A is equal to P, 1 plus I to the power of N. Okay? Guys, what's the difference between those two formulas? And this is vital. This is crucial. This is good stuff. This is like exam end of the year important stuff. Okay? This formula here is if I take an amount of money, let's say, what's her name? Annabelle. Annabelle took 3,000 Rand, put it in the bank, and left it there for 9 months. Then that's the formula we're going to use. Okay. But what Annabelle here is doing is she's not just putting 3,000 Rand away and waiting for the 9 months or the 11 months or whatever it is. Okay. What she's doing is she's putting 3,000 Rand in the bank. Next month, another 3,000. Next month, another 3. So the amount that she's putting away is increasing. This account, my compound formula, is one set amount in the bank for a period of time. This formula over here, which looks like, oh my goodness, such a headache, is when I keep putting more and more and more and more money in a bank. So if you are saving money and putting money aside every month, this is the formula we use to calculate how much we'll have at the end of 5 years or 6 years or whatever it is. This formula we use if we just take one amount of money, put it in the bank, and leave it there. Okay? This is what we're using. So, sure, I'm getting quite excited. I love this stuff. Eh? Right, equals. Now, how much are we putting aside? We're putting 3,000 Rand aside every month. 1 minus my interest. Now, folk, what is my interest? My interest is 10,8%. So it's 10,8 divided by 100, which is actually 0,108. Do you agree? But have a look at this. It's compounded monthly. So we are not compounding it yearly, but every month. So we're going to have to take that amount and divide by 12. So we've got 0,108 divided by 12. Why divided by 12? Because at the end of the month, I'm getting a 12th of my interest rate. Not a full 10,8%, but a 12th of that. If it was compounded yearly, then at the end of the year, I'm going to get the full 10,8. But if I'm compounded monthly, I've got to take that interest rate of 10,8 and divide it by 12. Okay, now that minus 1 all over, again, my interest rate, which is 0,108 divided by 12. And then we're going to write equals. Now, I know it's time for a break. I'm going to keep going, though. So let's just do this on our calculator, and then hopefully we'll take the break straight after this. So, in fact, you know what, folk? Let's take the break, because it's going to take a while.
Hey, how he changes his mind. So that's what I'm going to let him do. Let's take a break. Guys, get those questions in on our page. I think we've only got about 20 minutes left anyway, so let's do that. Okay, guys, see you now after the break. Hi guys, and welcome back to Learn Extra Live, grade 12s. We have about 15 minutes left to the show, so let's actually, I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to send you straight to Peter. Peter, take it away.
Hi, and just before the break, we landed up with this most horrific formula that was on the board, okay? And there it is. Now, something that just jumped to mind was this, that some people might look at this and say, hey, Peter, my teacher hasn't done this kind of formula before. How can we have this in a final exam? Let me just tell you, there's something in your syllabus called substitution. And you can be given any formula to substitute in, as long as this examiner has done, they have told you what the F means, the X means, the R means, okay? If the examiner tells you what all those weird and wonderful figures are, or letters mean, then they can give you any formula, because you've got to know how to substitute. Okay, it's one of the skills you have to know.
Pete?
So, yeah?
Thank goodness for our mindsetters, but maybe, okay, Pida, I hope I'm saying your name right, mindsetter. I think they said that needs to be a plus over there. She said, shoo, you wrote the wrong formula. It's supposed to be X, open brackets, 1 plus.
There we are. Absolutely.
There you go.
Sure. Thank goodness for mindsetters. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
otherwise,
guys.
you know what, hey? We would have landed up with a horrific answer, and we wouldn't have known where we'd gone wrong. Okay.
We had to fix it all quick.
So we've put all these figures in, and now what we're going to do is we're going to type it into our calculator. Now, guys, if you have a calculator, a good old Sharp or Casio, or a calculator that has a fraction button, then this stuff is straightforward and basic, because you type it the way you see it. And guys, let me just give you a little hint here. If you don't have a calculator that has that fraction button, and what do I mean by that fraction button? If we look at our screen here, it's this button right over here. Oops, now I've just thrown the calculator away. There it is. It's this fraction button here, the one just below the word abs, okay? And we're not talking about my abs. That's a totally different thing. It's a math thing. But this fraction button where it's actually got this symbol here. It's difficult to show it to you, so let me just draw it. It's this symbol over there, okay? And this one is shaded in. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not shaded in. It could just be a little block over another little block. Okay, so that is my fraction button. And seriously, get yourself a calculator that has one of those. You know, if you don't have one and you don't have money to go and buy one, then go to your folks or go to the neighbors, say, listen, I'm desperate to have a calculator. Do you mind if I work in your garden? Do you mind if I take out your trash? Do you mind if I do something for you? And even if you just give me like 20 Rand a day or whatever the case, I just need to make 100 Rand or something like that just so that I can go out and get one of these calculators, because it's going to make my life so much easier at the end of the year when I do my final matric paper. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Right, fraction button. First thing, 3,000. Open brackets, open another bracket. 1 plus fraction button 0.108 all over 12 close let's get rid of that, close bracket. Okay, now we can see that it's minus 1, so we're going to say minus 1 close bracket all over, at the bottom we got a fraction button 0.108 over 12. Sure, guys, I'm glad there's a thing like a calculator. I want to tell you something. When I was at school, geez, now I'm sounding old, but it's true. When I did matric, we never had calculators. How scary is that? If we got a question like this, we would have to work this out ourselves manually. That just took forever and forever and forever and forever. In fact, we used to have little books that you were called log books, little blue books, and we would have to page through them and try and find the square of this number and the cube root of that. It was absolutely horrific. But in my day as well, this question wouldn't just be for 3 or 4 marks. It would be for a whack more than that, because they knew it took you forever to do it. Okay, now all we got to do is push equals, and our answer is 3,000. Now, what have I done wrong? I've done something wrong. Okay, because our answer shouldn't be 3,000. Why shouldn't it be 3,000? Because we're putting 3,000 away every single month. And if I'm putting 3,000 Rand away, I know exactly where what my problem is. Let's just go here quickly. Remember I said to you, analyze your answers. See if your answers are correct. Now, I've had a look at my answer, and I've got 3,000 Rand, and I said to myself, hold on, something's wrong here. What's wrong? Well, if I'm putting 3,000 Rand away for 11 months, how can I just have 3,000 Rand? And that's my problem. I didn't realize how long I'm putting the money away from. Look at this formula to the power of n, and look what I've done here. Okay, let's choose a different color. I didn't put in how long I'm saving this money for. How long am I saving this money for? I'm saving it for 11 months. And so I need to put in an 11 there. Because remember, that's the number of months that I'm saving. Oy, now my answer should work out a little bit differently. So if I go back to my calculator, and I go back to my whole formula, and hopefully I don't have to type out the whole thing again. All I'm going to do is go right to that top line, and here we are. What I'm now going to do is this. By this bracket, I'm going to put to the power of 11. And now equals. Now look what happens. There it is. Sure, found the mistake. 34,525 Rand and 82589. What's that 82589? It means 83 cents. So 34,525 Rand and 83 cents. Okay, let's write that down, because I know Indiana's got a great memory and she's already remembered it for me. 34,525 Rand and 83 cents. So let's go here. Right, Indiana, and the answer was?
34,525 and 83 cents.
Okay, there it is. Right. So that's the final amount that's in the bank. Remember, she saved 3,000 Rand every single month. Okay, are we happy?
I wish I could save like her.
Because if you save 3,000 Rand, if I took 3,000 Rand a month and put it in under my pillow, okay, I would sleep very high eventually. But if I took it and put it under my bed, And for 11 months, 3 times 11, I'd have 33,000 rand. But by saving it with this particular bank, she doesn't just have 33,000, she's got 34,520. So she's got an extra 1,525 rand by using this bank. Right, let's move on. My next question. Here we go. Right, now, on the 1st of July 2008, Annabelle receives a 10% salary increase. Calculate her new monthly net salary. This is just like the question we did earlier, where we're going to increase our amount of money. Okay, so Annabelle now has got 12,000 rand that she's getting every single month. She's going to increase it by 10%. So we're going to find 10% of that, and then we're going to add it to her 12,000 rand to find out what her new salary actually is. So 10% of that is 1,200 rand plus the 12,000 rand, which means she's going to land up then with 13,200 rand. Will you remember 13,200 rand?
I shall.
Excellent. Now, our next question is this. You know, time is marching on, and I know we said we'd look at percentile, or we'd try and think about looking at percentiles and quartiles. And that came from
Lindy Erasmus.
Lindy Erasmus, if I can just say this, to look at percentiles, all right, we actually need a whole graph of percentiles. So we're going to have to look at that next week as well. And I'll bring one of those into the studio and we'll have a look at that. So that's tax we've got to look at next week, as well as percentiles. Okay? And then we'll look at all those different charts and try and work out things from that. So if you are patient with us, hang on till next week, Thursday. That's tax and percentiles we'll look at. All right, sorry we can't do it, but we really need all that kind of data to be able to answer questions like that. Okay, let's move on with this. So, Annabelle buys a new car. She finds that she has to budget 3,900 rand per month for the car to cover the cost of petrol, repayments, insurance, and maintenance. However, she no longer has to pay for public transport. Determine her new total monthly expenditure. Okay, so let's have a look at this expenditure account. Here it is here. Now, the first thing we need to understand is Annabelle's bought this car. And this car is going to cost her a total of 3,900 rand every month. So the first thing I'm going to say here, and I'm going to try and find a spot to write it in. Let's do it here, okay? I'm going to say her vehicle. And her vehicle, we know, comes to an amount of 3,900 rand. And we have to add that to her monthly bill. But there's something we've got to deduct. Because she now has a car, she doesn't need to use her public transport. That's gone. No longer here. She's saving 700 rand every month. But she's actually paying out 3,900. So what now is her monthly expenses? Well, it was 8,400. So let's do this on our calculator, shall we? It was 8,400. I'm moving my calculator here so we can see what we're doing. Okay? So 8,400 rand was her expenses. We're subtracting 700 rand because she doesn't need the public transport anymore. But we've now got to add 3,900 rand because she now has her vehicle. So her new expenditure, or the amount she's now got to pay out every month, is now 11,600 rand. So let's write that down straight away. 11,600 rand. Okay? Does that make sense to you? Guys, if I were you, when you answer this question, and we always struggle for time here, and that's why I try and do it quickly, just or explain the concept. But the way you should have actually have done that is said, right, her expenditure, okay, minus her transport, or the public transport, plus her new vehicle. And then you would have said 8,400 minus the 700 plus the 3,900 rand. And then you would have got to your answer of, what was it again? 11,600. Okay. And then they would have looked at that, and that's how you would have picked up all your marks. We got 4 minutes, so let's try and get to our next question.
Let's do it.
Let's try do it. Okay. So, in her new car, Annabelle travels a distance of 18 kilometers to her workplace in approximately 15 minutes. Determine her average speed in kilometers per hour. Use the formula. Distance is equal to speed times time. Okay. All right, so let's do this quickly. So, we know she travels a distance of 18 kilometers. So her distance is 18 kilometers. Her speed is what we are going to try and work out. Her time is 15 minutes. Now, folks, the problem we have is this, that our answer has got to be in kilometers per hour. But do you notice that the question has given me 15 minutes? So I have to change 15 minutes to hours. Okay. Now, please do never, ever, ever do this. Say 15 minutes is equal to 0,15 hours. You may not do it. Jy mag dit nie doen nie. Angas. Okay? Why not? Because minutes, there are 60 minutes in an hour. Okay? Whereas a decimal system is out of 100. So to convert minutes to hours, we've got to take the number of minutes and divide it by 60. So that's what we've got to do here. So you cannot say 15 minutes is 0,15. No way. Instead, what we should be doing is saying 15 minutes over 60. When we do that on our calculator, we're going to get 0,25, because 15 minutes is a quarter of an hour. So let's change this straight away. And we're going to say, right, let's take out this 15 minutes. So we've got 18 kilometers is equal to speed times 0,25 hours. So what's my speed going to be? Well, it's going to be kilometers per hour, or kilometers, what's per mean? Divide. So kilometers per hour is kilometers divided by hours. We got 18 kilometers. We are going to divide it by 0,25 hours. So let's do that with our calculator straight away. And we're going to take our calculator back to this side of the screen. Why? Just because I want to. Okay. So we've got 18 divided by, oopsie, sorry, let's get rid of that, over 0.25 equals, and we get 72. So my speed, when I get a pen, my speed is 72 what? 72 kilometers per hour. Okay, that's her average speed. Hopefully, she was not driving in a 60 zone.
Hopefully.
Hopefully not, because she was averaging 72 kilometers an hour. Okay.
Well, that's not too bad.
You obviously get a lot of fines, or your dad gets a lot of fines. I don't know. Folk, that's all from me. It's been a wonderful time again. It really has. And like I said, promise you, next week we are going. In fact, I was supposed to be away and coming back Friday. I'm coming back Thursday afternoon just for your show. So I promise you we're going to be doing, tax and percentiles. And hopefully our producer won't forget that.
And I'm not going to forget, guys. So please send those tax questions. Put them onto the page. Send them into our inbox. And I will make sure that I screen grab them and get them to Peter so we can go through that in the next lesson. It's going to be absolutely awesome. So I'm so sorry that we couldn't actually go through it today. Mindsetters, grade 12s, you rock. Good luck for all of your prelims, every single one of them. We are behind you completely, 100%. And don't forget that we are here for you. Need a little bit of help, need a little bit of inspiration. Thank you, guys. See you same time, same place next week.